Journey to the West in Vernacular Chapter 25. Little Lion Maitreya captures Huangmei half a month later. The master and disciples walked into a high mountain. Wild beasts were infested in the mountain, and wolves howled and tigers howled. Wukong opened the way ahead, driving away tigers, leopards and jackals. After crossing the mountains and ridges, we came to a plain. We could vaguely see the sight of towers and palaces in the clouds and mist, and the sound of bells and chimes could be heard from time to time. They searched for the sound and came to a temple. Wukong took a closer look and saw the evil aura in the Zen light, so he concluded that this was not a good place. Tang Monk didn't believe it, so he rode to the front of the mountain gate and saw the words Leiyin Temple exposed on the wall shaded by tree branches. Tang Monk thought he had arrived in the fairy world, so he immediately dismounted and worshipped. Wukong asked his master to take a closer look. Only then did Tang Monk clearly see the words Little Lion Temple written on it. Tang Monk wanted to go to the temple to worship, but Wukong tried his best to dissuade him, saying that it would be bad luck if he went in. When the master and the disciples were arguing, they suddenly heard someone shouting from the door, "Tang Monk, you went from the east to the west to obtain scriptures. Why didn't you come in to worship my Buddha after you saw him?" Tang Monk quickly put on his cassock and hat, and walked into the hall with Bajie and Shaseng step by step. Only Wukong stood aside and ignored them. Suddenly, the Tathagata Buddha, sitting high on the lotus platform, shouted, "Wukong, why don't you worship the Buddha when you see him?" Wukong opened his fiery eyes and saw that the Tathagata Buddha was actually a monster. He was shocked and raised his stick. "Just fight." Suddenly a pair of cymbals descended from mid-air, sandwiching Wukong in the middle. Upon seeing this, Bajie and Shaseng hurriedly grabbed their weapons. Unexpectedly, all the gods and fake Buddhists showed their faces as monsters. They surrounded them and tied up Tang Seng, Bajie and Shaseng. It turns out that Ruolai is a disheveled old monster with yellow eyebrows who calls himself Old Buddha with yellow eyebrows. The yellow-browed monster placed the golden symbol on the lotus platform, saying that in 3 days and 3 nights, Wukong would turn into thick blood, and then went to sleep with the monsters. Wukong rushed left and right in the golden symbol, but could not find anything. After sewing, the golden hoop was made long and thick to support the golden symbol, and the hair was plucked out to turn it into a plum blossom drill. But even a small hole could not be drilled out after drilling it. Wukong recited a spell and called the 5 Fang, GD, Dharma Protector Jialan and other gods, asking them to find a way to get rid of the golden symbols. But the gods couldn't lift it for a long time. The golden head revealed the truth to heaven and told the Jade Emperor. The Jade Emperor hurriedly sent the 28th Su to descend to earth to subdue the demon. The 28th Su immediately followed the golden head to the golden symbol. Urbesu was busy chopping at the golden symbol and axe until midnight, but it was still useless. King Jinlong made the body smaller, and the tip of the dragon's horn was like the tip of a needle. It penetrated along the seam of the symbol, and then enlarged the body and horn together, making the horn grow as thick as a bowl. But the mouth of the symbol seemed to be as thick as a bowl. The horns grow together without any gaps. Wukong asked King Jinlong to endure the pain. He turned the golden cudgel into a thin steel drill, drilled a hole in the tip of King Jinlong's horn, then shrank himself and hid in the hole. King Jinlong used all his strength to pull out the horn. He was exhausted and fell to the ground. Wukong finally came out of the golden symbol. Wukong changed back to his original form, picked up the golden cudgel and smashed the symbols to pieces. The yellow-browed monster was awakened by the noise, and surrounded him with the little monsters. Wukong led the 28-year-old and the gods on clouds and jumped into the air. The yellow-browed monster chased after him with a mace, and fought with Wukong in the air. The gods of the 28 constellations raised their weapons and surrounded the yellow-browed monster. Suddenly, the yellow-browed monster put away all its weapons, pulled off a cloth bag from its waist and threw it into the air. There was only a crash sound, and all the immortals including Wukong, 20 Baizu, Wufeng, Jidi, etc., were put into it. The yellow-browed monster returned victoriously, and asked the little monsters to take out dozens of hemp ropes. He untied his bags, tied them one by one, and then the little monsters carried them to the back and threw them to the ground. At night, when all the monsters fell asleep, Wukong suddenly heard the cry of his master. He regretted that he had not listened to Wukong's words. The little monster that Wukong was guarding was dozing. He used a spell to break free from the rope and untied the gods. Then he found his master and junior brother, and untied the rope for them. The gods embraced Tang Seng, used magic to blow up a strong wind, and flew away over the wall. Wukong returned to the temple and climbed to the roof. Seeing that all the doors and windows were closed, he transformed into a bat, drilled a hole in the roof, and flew in. He found Tang Monk's mantle, Buddhist treasures and luggage in the corner of the dark room, then changed back to his original state, picked up the luggage and walked out. Unexpectedly, the baggage suddenly fell away, and the things fell to the ground with a bang, alarming the old yellow-browed monster and the little goblin. Wukong had no choice but to leave the things and escape on the clouds. The yellow-browed monster led the little monster to chase him out. When he saw the gods protecting Tang Monk, he pounced on him. All the gods, Bajie and Sand Monk swarmed forward to block the yellow-browed monster. Wukong returned on the cloud and found that the yellow-browed monster was reaching for the bag at his waist, so he shouted, "Hey, everyone, run away." He jumped into the sky with another somersault. The gods Monk Tang and his disciples had no time to dodge, and were all taken back by the yellow-browed monster's pocket. So many gods and generals were captured. Wukong was afraid that the Jade Emperor would blame him, so he came to Wudang Mountain and asked the northern Zhenwu Dangmo Tianzun to save him. After listening to Wukong's story, the demon lord sent the 2 generals Turtle, Snake and the 5 dragons to follow Wukong to Leiyin Temple to rescue Tang Monk. They marched towards Leiyin Temple in great force. The yellow-browed monster led the little monsters out to fight. The 5 divine dragons turned over the clouds and sent rain. The turtle and the snake sowed earth and sand, and Wukong followed closely behind with his stick. Seeing the ferocious coming, the yellow-browed monster took off his bag again. When Wukong saw it, he hurriedly shouted, "Everyone, be careful." He jumped up to the 9-fold cloud on a somersault cloud. Before the dragon, turtle, and snake understood what Wukong said, they were put into their pockets and carried into the temple. After Wukong fell, he was feeling regretful when he saw the meritorious officer on duty walking up to him and suggested that he ask the Bodhisattva, the Master King, to borrow Prince Zhang to destroy the monsters. He said that Prince Zhang once defeated the Jellyfish Queen and had boundless magical power. "We will definitely win." The national preceptor, King Bodhisattva, had no idea and had already come to Wukong to beg him. As soon as Wukong arrived, he sent Prince Zhang and the 4 great generals to follow Wukong to Leiyin Temple to fight the yellow-browed monster. Unexpectedly, not long after the fight, the yellow-browed monster repeated its old tricks and put Prince Zhang and the 4 great generals into the bag again. Wukong knew it in advance and was able to escape. Wukong waited until all the monsters had gone back. Then Luo Yunlai stood on the western hillside, feeling very upset. At this time, a colorful cloud floated from the southwest, and heavy rain began to fall all over the mountain. Someone shouted, "Wukong, do you know me?" Wukong looked up and saw that it was Maitreya Buddha. It is said that the yellow-browed monster is a yellow-browed boy who plays the chime in front of Maitreya Buddha. A few days ago, he took advantage of Maitreya Buddha's visit to the Yuanshi meeting and stole Maitreya's acquired bag and escaped here to cause trouble. After Maitreya met Wukong, he turned a piece of land into a melon field, and he became a melon grower. After letting Wukong attract the yellow-browed monster, he turned into a watermelon, and Maitreya gave it to him to eat. According to the plan, Wukong came to Jialei Temple and shouted curses. The yellow-browed monster saw that Wukong was alone, without any helpers, and was not afraid of him, so he came out to challenge him. The 2 fought for several rounds. Wukong pretended to be defeated and escaped, luring the yellow-browed monster to the melon field at the foot of the western hillside. Wukong rolled on the spot and turned into a watermelon, mixed in with the real melons. The yellow-browed monster chased Wukong, but couldn't find it. When he saw watermelons all over the ground, he asked the melon farmer to pick a ripe melon to quench his thirst. Maitreya Buddha picked the watermelon transformed by Wukong and handed it over. The monster took the melon and opened his mouth to bite it. Wukong took the opportunity to roll it into his mouth and into his stomach. Wukong scratched the monster's intestines and stomach, punched and kicked him. The pain caused the yellow-browed monster to grin and shed tears. It rolled around in the melon field and felt pain. At this time, Maitreya Buddha returned to his original form, and the yellow-browed monster saw it, and hurriedly knelt down and begged, "Master, have mercy on me. I don't dare to do it anymore." Maitreya Buddha went up to untie the acquired bag, took the chime hammer, and then asked Wukong to spare his life. Wukong asked the yellow-browed monster to open its mouth, jump out, change back to its original shape, raise the golden cudgel and hit it. Maitreya Buddha persuaded Wukong to stop and asked the monster where the golden symbol was. The monster said, "The golden symbols were smashed by Wukong and are now piled up in the temple." Maitreya Buddha put the monster into a bag and tied it around his waist. Then he and Wukong came to the little lion temple. Seeing that the old monster had been caught, the little monster in the temple was about to escape. Wukong picked up the golden cudgel and beat him randomly. Wiped them all out. Maitreya Buddha collected the fragments of the golden symbol in a pile, blew on the fairy air, and recited a mantra, and the golden symbol immediately returned to its original shape. After sending Maitreya Buddha away, Wukong went to the backyard to rescue his master and junior brother first, and then asked Bajie to open the cellar and rescue the gods. When Tang Monk saw them, he quickly thanked them one by one, and then sent all the gods back to their fairyland. Tang Monk and his disciples rested for a long time and then embarked on the journey to the west. Before leaving, Wukong set a fire and burned the fake lion temple to ashes. Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.